Hi, my name's Nick Hodgson. I've been drinking the ionized water about 14 months. And Karen bought the machine and she'd been drinking it and I hadn't, so I was assertively skeptical and cynical. And I'm proud of that because there's so many claims about different types of therapy and this, that and the other that don't seem to pan out with empirical evidence that I observed. So it was her decision to buy it. I respected that. She gave me some water after it was installed, and the first thing that amazed me was I liked it. And I don't really like water. I'm fairly acidic, and I didn't realize that most bottled waters, especially distilled and reverse osmosis waters, have a high acidic pH count. And as a consequence, because I had a high sugar diet, it was just amplifying the acidity in my system. So I started drinking the water, and I started drinking a lot of the water because I liked it. And after that, I noticed that my tongue started getting a white fur on it, and I was decongesting and detoxing. And I've been vegetarian 35 years, and I've done a lot of fasts and cleanses, so I know about the detoxing process. I thought I knew a lot about diet and maintaining good health and vitality. And so I'm drinking the water, and I'm noticing that I'm fasting while I'm drinking the water and eating normally, and that was a big surprise for me. So I enjoyed that process very much. And after about a week, I noticed I had a lot more mental clarity, more agility, slept less, just felt more, hopping as it were. Well, one of the scientific ways of measuring the experiential side of drinking ionized water is to compare it to an activity that you used to do. And in my case, I did a lot of racquetball, competition racquetball, and sort of fanatically. I mean, I really loved the sport. We'd play at least 3 nights a week. Was in the top league. As about number 5 in the league, there were 5 other players that continually beat me, almost to the same score count each time, and it would become a given. You would always beat certain people by a certain amount, and they would always beat you if they were better players. Well, I've been drinking the water 2 weeks, and I went into the club, and I noticed I was just feeling different going into the club. And I noticed not only did I have far more alertness of mind, better mental clarity, stamina, physical strength, but it translated into the scores. And there's one fellow called Jay who always beats me consistently. He's been playing many years longer. Said, "Nick, let's play a game." So we went on the court and we played the game, and I creamed him about 15-1. And he was so shocked because it's the first time it ever happened to him. He said, "Nick, what have you been doing?" And I said, "Well, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me." And he said, "No, who's been coaching you?" I said, "I haven't been taking coaching lessons." And he said, "Well, how did you beat me?" And I said, "Well, I've been drinking this water called ionized water." And he said, "Yeah, but how did you beat me?" And I go, "Jay, this water really makes you feel better and more clear in the head and have more stamina and energy. And it's affected my diet, and I'm playing better because of it." He still didn't believe me, still didn't sink in. That was okay. We went back to the bench, played more, waited for the next game. Well, the next player actually who beats me, his name is also Jay by coincidence. There's 3 of them for some bizarre reason. And he says, "Nick, let's play." Well, word immediately gets around that I've beaten the other Jay, and that there was a new kid in town sort of thing. And this other Jay is an excellent player and very clear in his head and very good at strategic placement, etc. And same thing happened, creamed him. And this doesn't happen normally on the court. You might beat somebody who you generally always beats you, but if you do, it'll be by a smidgen or so. It's not like a total annihilation. Well, to me, that was evidence. The only thing I was doing different in that 2-week period was drinking ionized water. And I'd gone through a big detox with it. I noticed far greater mental clarity. I noticed sleeping less. But the second really huge thing that you can evidently measure with how ionized water affected my life was in my diet. For the easily last 30, 40 years, I've had what I call I like to pretend it's a mild sugar craving, but it wasn't. I would eat something sweet and then I want more sweetness and gouge myself, and then I'd work it off by doing athletics, and I could get away with it. I do swimming in the ocean in winter, I live by the beach, and I do a lot of racquetball, and I love sports, so it was my way of getting my center and my balance. Well, what would occur is every day I would drink, mineral balanced sweets like medjool dates or smoothies or apple juice or a host of other sweet, relatively healthy food intakes. But it's far too much. And what occurred when I started drinking the ionized water that made me realize without any conscious will or effort on my part was I was spending $10 to $15 a day less in drinking sweet drinks or eating sweet foods. And as a consequence, my strength and stamina and well-being, especially when you wake up in the morning, did a big shift. And that was measurable. I mean, it's still to this day, what's it now, 16 months later, I would say, 16 months later, I still don't spend that $10 to $15 a day. I don't crave it, I don't desire it. And that's huge. I mean, the monetary savings in that you can amplify by the number of days is quite tremendous. But it's also, you get to a stage in your life where you cannot eat so much sweet stuff and expect to get off it. You know, the Teflon coating leaves you, and I'm very happy that that occurred to me before I started feeling the downfall of that high sugar intake. So that was one particularly big thing. Regarding ionized water, I think a huge factor that I benefited by was because Karen bought the machine, I was able to drink it fresh. And, you know, alkaline water, to me, I don't like using the term alkaline water because you can put minerals in water and it turns it alkaline and people go, well, I drink alkaline water, etc. It's the negative ions that attach themselves to the positive ions in your body, which are created in excess, in my case, if you have a sugar intake, that balance out my bloodstream and my consequent, you know, cellular building processes. And I've noticed now that just the rejuvenating effects. And it'd be very hard to say to me 2 years ago, Nick, I've got something good for your diet. When you've been a vegetarian so long, when you are very good athletically and more or less in the top, you know, 2 or 3%, yet there's this weakness in your lifestyle and constitutional strength that hasn't really shown itself in full force. And I was at that point that I was going to get sick if I didn't drink ionized water. And interestingly enough, because of all the racquetball, I had something called, you know, you could call it tennis elbow, with the elbow where you play a few games and your elbow really hurts and then it's stiff and it plays up. That just went away. It just went away. And that could have been, you could, I don't know what definition of arthritis you could have called it, but definitely any arthritic symptoms in my elbow went away. And I don't think I'm an extreme case of what ionized water has done for me, but I know dietarily that was huge. That was absolutely huge. So I'll be drinking the rest of my life, God willing. And it sounds so simple, and yet it's so profound. I mean, you know, food and water. I just can't believe how big an impact simple water had in my life, and I'm really, really grateful for that. Thank you.